far this year, mostly on cybersecurity, issues related to wealth management, economics, portfolio management. This is our first sustainability conference, so thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Special shout out and thank you to Lauren and her amazing team, Brian Ingram. Without them, this event would definitely not have gotten Sustainability, what is it? We have a sign outside that talks about it. Mary's attending a conference tomorrow that talks about it. Books have been written about it. Basically, it means don't waste things. Leave things the way you found them. When it comes to climate change, you've got our president on one side, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren on the other side, millions of people in the middle. You can debate climate change till you're blue in the face. The one thing you can't debate is that garbage is washing up on our shores, turtles have straws stuck in their noses, and the world is becoming filthy. And no offense to professional athletes, but the planet does not have to be a locker room. I mean, it's just a men's locker room. So, we need to be good corporate citizens. And I think it starts with the largest companies in our country. And we're fortunate today to have Mary Wenzel with us. Mary runs corporate sustainability and corporate responsibility for Wells Fargo Advisors. And she's here today to talk to us about what we're doing as a corporate citizen, not only for our bank and our customers, but from an investment perspective, since we have a lot of money, to help stimulate change. So let me turn over to Mary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this on? Can you hear me okay without it?
Yes.
Okay. So I actually am head of sustainability and corporate responsibility for Wells Fargo, the company, not just advisors. So we have many businesses. We have our retail business, so you can go into our banks. We have our wealth and investment management and asset management businesses, and we have a corporate bank. So we support other large corporate companies. We have a big footprint. We have over 250,000 employees. We have 80 million square feet of real estate. We operate in every state and in many countries around the world. And so what is our responsibility as a company? We always start with our vision and values and goals as a company. Simple. We want to satisfy our customers' financial needs and help them succeed financially. That's our vision as a company, and that's why we have relationships with many of you. But what does that really mean? How do we achieve that? Who are we from a purpose perspective? And our goals are pretty clear too. We want to be the best in providing customer service and advice, the best in risk management. If you're working with us as a client, you want to know that we're managing your funds responsibly. We want to be the best at team member engagement. We're only as good as our team. We want to be the best at innovation. We know that innovation is changing our business and changing all of our businesses, and we want to use innovation to enable and empower our customers and their experiences with us. We want to deliver shareholder value if you invest in Wells Fargo. And I'm here today to talk about the corporate citizenship. We want to be the leader in corporate citizenship in the financial services sector. So what does that mean? We've talked informally in the breakfast. Big companies are asked to solve problems in society. And increasingly we're being asked to use our voice to address kind of different social concerns. Where are we on this issue or that issue? How do we stand about this and how do we stand about that? And it's really important that companies like ours have a formal process to decide what are the issues that are most relevant to us as a business? What are the issues where we can truly have an impact and make a difference and that are aligned with our business? So, solving cancer is probably not an issue that's aligned with Wells Fargo, right? So what are those issues? So we go through a very formal process about every 3 to 5 years, and we're in the middle of resetting our commitments to set our corporate responsibility commitments. And we're operating under a 2020 framework. So we set, in 2015, we went through this exercise and announced in 2016 a very comprehensive set of goals for the company in 3 areas: economic empowerment, diversity and inclusion, and environmental sustainability. And we set goals across our products and services, our operations and culture and team member engagement, and within our philanthropic investments. So this is kind of the framework that we're operating under. Today I'm going to spend more time talking about sustainability because that's the topic today and what we're doing. But before I pivot to that, just some highlights. Next week we will publish our corporate responsibility report. And I encourage you all to go on wellsfargo.com and look at it. But it really tracks our progress against those big commitments we set as a company. But here's just some great highlights over the last year. We invested through our foundation $444 million in about 11,000 nonprofits around the country and around the world. Our team members volunteered over 2 million hours out in their communities with organizations that were important to them. That's a pretty tremendous impact. We have met 100% of our operations energy needs through renewable energy. So again, we're a big company. We've got over 80 million square feet of space. And we're starting this year to pivot from just buying renewable energy credits to actually investing in new renewable energy projects. So we're actually bringing new renewable energy into the grid from a procurement perspective. But we are also a leading tax equity investor in wind and solar. We've invested over $6 billion in wind and solar projects in the U.S., and they generate about 9% of all the wind and solar energy in the U.S. So we have a big footprint. Affordable housing is a big issue for us. We're obviously a large mortgage lender. We've made some great progress getting people into homes through our neighborhood loan program. And then we have 7 million customers, but within our financial health and education and literacy programs, we've reached over 1.7 million people to train them on financial health issues. So that's a tremendous impact that we're having as a company on these issues. So what are we doing from a sustainability perspective? We know that sustainability is an all of the above. It takes all of us, it takes all partners. The problems are large. They're systemic. We all need to participate in thinking about how we can have impact. And we believe that extends to our customers, to our supply chain, to our investors, to our team members, really across our value chain. How can we as a company engage our stakeholders in this journey around sustainability? And that's our Impact Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow campaign that we launched this year. And our first step was really calling for our team members. So we've got to start at home. And so we have a team member engagement platform where our team members can go out online on the computers and commit to sustainability actions. They can commit to volunteering in their communities. They can commit to biking for it, whatever it is. What we want to communicate to our team, and then also particularly our supply chain and our customers, is that these small actions in aggregate make a huge impact. And we should never feel like, talking about this earlier, that the problems are so big that we can't have impact. We have to continue to strive, each of us individually, and what we can do on a daily basis to change the trajectory we're on. And so we've had our team commit over 200,000, we just launched this campaign, personal actions that they're willing to take around sustainability, which is really powerful. And it's really changing the narrative and embedding sustainability into our DNA as a company. So that's the starting small. At the opposite end of the spectrum, we're a large financial institution. We have a large corporate investment bank. And so we actually made a commitment in April of last year to bring $200 billion to bear to support sustainable finance businesses. So renewable energy companies, green commercial real estate, sustainable agriculture companies, transportation and mobility companies, green bonds, clean tech. We have a clean tech commercial banking business, so bringing more clean technology companies into the bank. And then, more importantly, really engaging our clients in all industries in a conversation about how technology has the potential to disrupt their business or enhance their business. And so, we're meeting with our utility customers on a regular basis because they're adding renewables to their portfolios, very quickly, right? That train has left the station already. And so we want to be a trusted advisor to them as they bring renewables into their portfolios. We're seeing how technology is beginning to disrupt the agricultural sector. And so we've got to be able to have that conversation with our large ag banks. So we've got to be able to have that conversation with our clients about how technology is going to transform the business. And even in the more conventional oil and gas space, there are a spectrum of ways companies can operate to be more or less responsible. And so we engage with a dialogue with all of our clients about what we think is best practice for managing the environmental and social issues within their industries. And so, we've been having a lot of conversations with oil and gas clients about indigenous people's rights. That's become an issue that we all need to pay attention to. And so what does strong indigenous engagement look like? And what are the policies that you should have as a client operating in this space? You may have assets or operations that impact Native American communities. How should you be engaging those communities? What does responsibility look like in that space? And so increasingly, as we're being challenged from investors and other stakeholders to communicate what we're doing around sustainability, we're impacted by what our clients are doing around sustainability, and so we've got to be having that dialogue with them as well. So this commitment we announced last year was to invest to finance $200 billion of sustainable business between now and 2030. So I'll give you a sneak peek. Our report comes out next week. We did $23 billion of sustainable finance in 2018. So we know there's huge opportunity. We know this is the trajectory that industry and the economy is headed, and we need to be an active participant in that narrative and dialogue. What counts as sustainable finance? I think that's an obvious question we get from a number of stakeholders, and so we've committed to be very transparent. We're going to publish our methodology on what we're counting and not counting, and really start to be able to allow people to understand what's business as usual, what's incremental finance, what's really transformative finance that we're supporting through our business. And then again, the last bucket up there is really about it takes village, right? We can't, Series has published a report that says $1 trillion needs to go to the clean economy in order to mitigate climate change. Wells Fargo can't spend $1 trillion, right? It's going to take many, many participants to move the needle. And so we participate in the Bloomberg Sustainable Finance Alliance here in New York. We participate in a number of industry groups that are really helping bring attention and focus on what are the barriers to more sustainable finance, what are the policy initiatives we can advocate for, and how do we really change the trajectory. And then we get to have some fun. This IM2 is one of my favorite programs. We fund it out of our foundation. It's a $30 million partnership with the National Renewable Energy Lab to support clean technology entrepreneurs. And we work with 50 different channel partners that are the regional and state-based clean technology incubators and accelerators and universities. And we've really created this ecosystem and community that's what are the barriers to commercialization for these clean tech entrepreneurs? How do we move them more quickly over the valley of death to commercialization and scale? And so we invite our 50 channel partners to submit their kind of leading companies that entrepreneurs are working with into the program. If you're selected into the program, you get $250,000 of non-dilutive capital. You get to have your technology validated at DOE and NREL's laboratory facilities. And then you get to beta test your technology in a Fortune 50 company, which is tremendously powerful for these entrepreneurs. And what we've seen is actually for every dollar we've invested in the program, they've been able to raise $21 in follow-on funding. So we are de-risking these entrepreneurs and these technologies for future investors and for commercialization, and it's a pretty exciting, impactful program. Obviously, as I said, we have a big footprint, and we can't be challenging our clients and customers and communities to be more sustainable without us walking the talk in our own operation. So these are kind of the commitments we laid out and the progress we're making against those commitments. So you'll see we've reduced our energy usage by 36% since our 2008 baseline year. We've reduced our water usage by almost 60% across our operations. We've reduced the amount of waste that goes to landfills by 40% across our operations. We've reduced our greenhouse gas emissions by about 49% now. So we've met and exceeded the goals we set out there. We're resetting some of those commitments as we speak. And we committed to about 35% of our facilities being LEED certified. And I think this is one of those buildings, we said there was a plaque out there somewhere. It gives us a framework to operate under and to make sure we're thinking about sustainability holistically. The LEED, or U.S. Green Building Council's leadership in energy design, looks at material usage and indoor air quality and things like that. So we're making great progress converting our space to LEED certified. And then, as I mentioned, we've met already 100% renewable energy commitment. Before I leave the sustainability conversation, social sustainability is a critical aspect. It's interesting in this space, the terminology people are using to describe this work: corporate social responsibility, sustainability, ESG, I think is very fluid right now, and I don't know what ultimately will be the term of choice or the term that kind of people rally around, but we think social sustainability is a critical component of our work. And just last month, we announced a new foundation strategy. As I said, we invested $444 million last year, but do any of you know what we invested in other than the INC that I talked about just a minute ago? Have any of you heard what we supported in your communities? So we knew we needed a more cohesive strategy, and we really wanted to move from writing checks. We write a lot of checks, 11,000 checks to be specific, to solving problems. And that takes a different type of philanthropy, and it's kind of the impact investment that I think many of you are thinking about or doing in your investments. And so we went through about a 9-month process to really think about where do we have unique expertise as a company, and where can we bring our expertise and resources and voice in Washington and in the states to bear on solving a problem. And we decided the 3 issues that are most aligned with our business are housing affordability, small business vitality, we're the largest small business lender, and financial health, right? We know, I think the statistics you probably all have seen is that 40% of the population in the U.S. doesn't have $400 in their bank accounts in the event of a crisis.
That's happened with the unemployment happened.
Right. And so our goal with our new foundation strategy is to really prioritize these 3 areas. We'll still support other areas, and particularly locally, we'll support kind of needs of our local communities that we invest in. But we really wanted to tackle some big, hairy challenges that are facing our society and the economy. And so we're going to use catalytic finance. We're going to use collaboration and policy advocacy and a bunch of new tools to really bring our voices to bear on these critical economic issues in our country. We're just getting started. We've hired a new head of foundation. She actually will be based here in New York. She's coming over from City, and she starts next month. So really excited about this new strategy. Would love to come back and talk to you in a year or 2 about kind of the progress we're making around it. And you can see the quote from our CEO. We really think that these three issues are core to kind of the financial success of consumers and our communities, right? If people can't afford their housing, if small businesses aren't thriving, and if you don't have $400 in your bank account to survive an emergency situation, you're operating under a crisis conditions on a daily basis. And so how do we change that narrative and help more people get into housing that doesn't consume, over 70% of their income, or doesn't require them to work extra jobs to pay for housing? How do we support small businesses, which are really the engine of the economy, right? And diverse small businesses that we're prioritizing, which really help those diverse communities rebuild and thrive. And then how do we really change the narrative around financial health and engage with partners and others that can really begin to kind of tackle some of these systemic issues that are creating inequities. So that's the new foundation strategy. I think that's my last slide. I didn't want to talk too much at you. I wanted to have a conversation. And so I'll pause here and see what questions you have for me.
I think you've made some incredible, profound, impactful statements. And I have a couple of bullet points. You made a striking comment that Wells Fargo, let me hope I'm saying this correct, is the largest financial investor for small businesses. Is that correct?
Not an investor, but we largest small business lender.
Okay.
lender.
So that's a very powerful statement. I would advise that you should run, TV commercials to get your message out, because there is a paradigm shift. The moral dilemma that I face in social impact throughout the world is, consciously, right, between ethics and capitalism, and this big discussion, argument. As a bank, how do you resolve these conflicts morally, ethically, and financially? That's really the big message of these times. I've been in Europe. We represent somebody who's the most profound green chemistry professor in the world, has solved micropollutants in the water at a very low cost. And the EU doesn't want it because all these companies are going to not be at the table. As a small entity, and then you as the bank, you see these conflicts. So when we make these profound statements, whether it started out earlier being in the asbestos business and tobacco, there are moral dilemmas. There are moral dilemmas in wind that we don't talk about. They talk about it in Europe.
Electric cars or anything.
So how do you solve this? How do you, have this engagement? We want to be in this today's day of incredible consciousness.
Yeah.
How do we solve this? How do we have a discussion that's robust, that creates economic opportunity for all?
I think the way so if you think of energy issues, just kind of carving out energy, right? We're a large conventional energy lender. Utilities play a critical role in society, right? The electric vehicle penetration is quite small today. We still need oil, we still need gas, but we're on a journey. And so we view it as, what is our role in this transition? So we know we're here today, we know we need to be here tomorrow. So what's our role in the transition, right? How do we begin to begin to shine a spotlight on where we need to head and really optimize our investments and financing of the technologies of tomorrow, while having that dialogue with companies in the conventional space about the journey that we're all on as a society, right? And we're not going to not support the utility today. We need utilities, right? But how do we have that dialogue with them about, frankly, the big oil and gas companies know exactly where we're headed, right? They will have that dialogue with you because they're seeing the same trends and energy and dialogue that you are seeing. They're not, they don't have on blinders. There are different things they'll say in a public setting versus a private conversation. But I think our motto is engage, have that dialogue, and really shine the spotlight on where we need to head and how we support that transition, or even accelerate that transition. What can we do to move us more quickly down those pathways? And you're right, there's not a perfect. I mean, I was listening to a conversation, NPR story the other day about microplastic pollutants in the air that we're all breathing. It was terrifying, right? So how do you begin to have that dialogue, and then how do you begin to raise awareness, right? And that's our Impact Day campaign. How do we begin to start to help people understand their choices and the impacts of their choices and the impacts they individually can have on these
See,
issues?
the model I would comment on, like if you're a law firm, right, and you have a new client coming in, the law firm will review the things if there's any conflict, right? How do you solve that from the banking side where you know a client is in violation, absolute violation, and they're doing business with you, and then you also, the other side, investing in this.
Yeah.
How do you solve this
So we
problem?
actually do have a unique part of our world in the financial sector is a function called environmental and social risk management. So we actually have a team of dedicated professionals. It includes a human rights lawyer, includes a woman who used to run some of the environmental programs at ISC, who go and sit beside bankers when they're looking at new clients or looking at renewing transactions with clients in industries that have significant environmental and social impact. And we evaluate the way we evaluate their commitment, we evaluate their capacity to operate responsibly, and then their track record, right? Is this a company that has an outsized set of environmental violations or community protests and we rate them. We give each of those clients in those sensitive sectors an environmental and social risk rating. And so we really looked at, on a client-by-client basis, the environmental and social risk ratings, and then we look at it on a sector basis. We have decided to stop lending to certain sectors because we think the risks in those sectors are becoming unacceptable. And so we don't lend, we're increasing our exposure to coal mining, for example. And so we make risk-based decisions related to those issues.
Happy to hear that. So we had, like, in the agricultural business, it happened in India. U.S. firms came in, gobbled the business, everybody looked the other way. All the farmers are out.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Well done.
absolutely.
So I had a question on growing population of disabled people in U.S., especially on the autism side. It's growing at an alarming rate, like now there are 3.5 million people in U.S. and close to 1% of the population in the world is now in the spectrum and it's growing. But, and I was also talking about, in some of the conferences about, opioid crisis and autism, and I found autism was far higher, but there is no talk about autism in the community. We are talking more of opioid and not about autism. And so we are trying to create the world's first business accelerator in autism technologies. We're trying to, it is a group of parents from all over US to come together to create a big fund and then start investing in companies because since 25 years a lot of research is happening, but no new products are coming which is impacting these kids. And from the banking perspective, 3.5 million, it's a, if you can create products for them, it's a big this thing. And also, how you can change the narrative from what's happening. The mental health issues and the environmental are very closely connected.
Yes.
And one in 59 they say, but in the East Coast it is 1 in 40, and in the next 5 years in the New York, New Jersey, 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 boys will be affected by autism. So nobody's talking about it. It's a glaring problem. So we are trying to create really an ecosystem which will encourage more entrepreneurs to come in the space and create this. So is there any way of us to work with Wells Fargo to create something which can change the paradigm for this whole community?
So I think the model we've built around innovation with the INT program that I mentioned, bringing together all these research institutes and accelerators and incubators, has gotten a lot of attention. So as we've moved towards housing affordability being a priority for the bank from a foundation perspective, we are consulting with them around what does innovation in the housing affordability space look like. So I think there is a big priority on innovation right now. How do we invest